Have you ever heard of a cult of personality? And have you ever wondered, number one, what that is? And number two, how does it relate to spiritual abuse? Well, in this video, I'm going to answer both questions. My name is Dr. Felucia, and I'm a licensed psychologist. And in today's video, I want you to understand not only what a cult of personality can look like, but what it reveals about that environment. So, in a cult of personality, it is basically a situation, a group of people where everything revolves around that leader, right? And it's not saying that what a cult of personality is not is having a leader that's a great leader that people like. It's more than just likability. You would hope that most leaders would be liked and at least respected, but this goes much deeper than that. This is where the leader is idealized more than is normal, right? So, people may, in a spiritually abusive environment or any spiritual environment, people are going to have, think highly of their leader. But when I say idealize, they have this idea that the leader can do no wrong. And so there's this not only idealized image of the leader, but the group sort of revolves around the personality of that leader. So when you think about a cult of personality, there are different historical examples that you can, Google. But when we look at it in terms of spiritual abuse, you'll have a leader who's often very charismatic, who has let's say just call it a winning personality. They're very likable, but underneath the surface of that is a desire for control. And instead of somebody who is guiding people on a journey towards spirituality, they're there to control people. So, one of the things that you can see when you see a cult of personality within a spiritual setting is that people quote the leader a lot more than is normal, right? We all have, I'm sure that you can think of leaders that you've had before and they may say some things and you might adopt some of those ideologies or phrases. But when you are in an abusive environment, it's taken to a different level. So it's almost like the people in that environment are clones of that leader. They like what the leader likes, they dislike what the leader likes, they use and take on the language that the leader has. And they do this to an extent that is not normal or healthy. It's almost as if they've shed their own personalities and their own interests to take on that of the leader. And the reason why this is so concerning is, I talk about different I talk about different just rules about a spiritual environment, traits that you'll see. And one of them, and I actually heard this from a different podcast about a spiritually abusive church. It's the idea that charisma is more important than character, right? And so they're in these types of settings, they have leaders who are really charismatic, very likable, but it is a cover for deep character issues that they are unwilling to face. And so when these people come into an environment, they sort of sweep everybody off their feet. Everybody wants to be around this leader. They idealize them to an unhealthy extent, and they basically morph kind of into that leader. And another thing I want to point out too about that, the idea of charisma over character, it's not saying that somebody having a charismatic personality is bad, but there's a difference between somebody's charismatic character being a part of who they are and the charismatic personality taking over and being a cover for deeper issues. Because remember, in these types of environments, appearance is everything. And so if there's a leader who is idealized to a very high degree, then you're going to see some concerning behaviors that happen. If people don't want to hear anything bad about this leader, right, they will forego their critical thinking skills and abilities because they want to protect this leader at all costs. So, you'll hear about these incidents where maybe somebody's in an environment, they say, oh, what that leader did, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way, or I don't agree with this. And it's taken as sacrilege. And so people will and take that information, make sure it gets back to the leader, and then that person is, punished in some way or another for speaking out against this person. And so, and another reason why this cult of personality is a problem is because it emphasizes the needs of the leader over the needs of the people. And so in environments like this, all the resources, energy, everything is put into maintaining the image of this flawless leader. And when people who are part of that environment have real needs and they have concerns, they can be met, but it has to be within a certain framework, right? The whatever the leader needs comes first. So if it's between what the leader needs and what the people need, it's always going to favor the leader. And so that's why in these types of environments, you'll see leaders being protected. They might be, they might do things that are, immoral, illegal, but that environment will not allow harm to come to that leader because they believe that he or she needs to be protected at all costs. And so people suffer major consequences by speaking out against that. So this is something else to, I have another video on a red flag, red flags to look out for. And this is another red flag. Now you might wonder, well, how would I know, if a place has a cult of personality or not? And it's not something that you will see right away. Just because a place has a charismatic leader, somebody with a big personality doesn't mean that. But I want you to, next time you go to a place or you're around people, just observe how they talk about the leader, right? Do they view this leader as a normal person, or do they have this kind of strange pedestalization or idealization of this person? And you can use your discernment. There's a difference between people admiring somebody and putting them in an unhealthy position in their life. So look at that, and listen to what people say. Every group has their own language and their code words and things like that that are unique to that environment. But if people just sound like clones of this leader and basically act like they're just like him or her, that's something to be concerned about. And you might have a cult of personality going on. So I'd like to hear from you in the comments. Have you been in a cult of personality? What was that like for you? And just what advice you have for others for spotting those sorts of things. All right. Well, I hope you have a wonderful day that is filled with peace, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.